You're listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast, where you'll learn actionable steps to help you find your first or next real estate deal. We'll deep dive into current strategies and show you how to become a deal finder in your market today.
All right, guys, we're coming back with another Deal Finders podcast with my friend Michael Bartolomei. I probably messed it up again, but we are going to go dive in deep into text message marketing, and not just marketing, but text message engagement. Stay tuned, get a pen and paper, and listen. If you need anything from us, go to dealfindersclub.com. You can reach out there. We'd love to talk to you. See ya. All right, Deal Finders, welcome back to our podcast. I am here with Michael Bartolomei, and I probably messed up his last name, but he will tell us how to do it right. And we're going to talk about marketing. Y'all, every business has to, it starts with letting people know that you have a business. You have to be out there talking to people, and marketing is how we do that. Marketing, advertising, and communication. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we might get into some services and things like that Michael's team offers. So without further ado, let's get into it. Michael, I'm going to let you do that 30-second, 60-second intro. Let people know who you are and where you are, and then let's start talking marketing.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Andrew. I really appreciate it. And hey, everyone that's listening in. So I work with Launch Control. I think a lot of you probably are familiar with us in the real estate investment space. We're a text engagement platform that is specifically for real estate investors to engage with homeowners, engage with buyers, engage with realtors, really the full 360-degree process of your business. And we're very involved in the industry and kind of the education space as far as the marketing side goes. So really happy to dive in, Andrew, wherever you want to kind of take it in terms of best practices for engaging with sellers, buyers, whatever would be most useful for your listeners.
Yes, I love that. Guys, do you hear that? We're going to try to give as much info to you as the listeners as we can. And if you're listening to this, you can also watch us. We do have put these on YouTube. So the YouTube channel, just find us at Deal Finders Club. We're over there, dealfindersclub.com. You can find all the links there, and we'll put some links for Michael as well. But let's get started. Let's talk about what works. And in our community, what we're talking about is getting either started in buying deals, which is a discount property, either getting started or putting some consistency in our business. I don't really like to use the word scale. It kind of gets overplayed, and who knows what the heck that means. But consistency and getting more and more deals each month. So if someone's getting started right now, we're going to start at the bottom, and they want to buy a house, right? They've come to one of our events. We hold events every week locally, or they've watched a YouTube interview, and they say, all right, I'm in. I figured it out. Real estate is how I could build wealth and generate income for my family. How do I let people know I'm here? How do I talk to sellers? What's your number one tip?
Well, I think the most important thing that you have to do, a lot of people when they jump into the industry, the verb jump is the right verb to use, right? And they often approach it from, well, I just need a deal, and a deal will validate this for me, and then I can use the profits from that deal to then kind of ramp up and build from there. You said, don't overuse the word scale, but to actually have some amount of growth, right? Right. I think it helps to work with the coaches, work with the mentors, and really have a 6-month plan, right? And that 6-month plan is of course going to include marketing, but it's also going to include how to protect your business via an LLC, how to bucket money for taxation that you're going to have to pay when the deals start coming in, how to how to find buyers in your market, how to analyze and vet a market before you even start reaching out, right? So having a 6-month plan for that, I think, is really important, because ultimately what you're trying to do isn't to find a deal. You're trying to build a business, and you want that business to be something that can get you, away from a W-2 and into successful entrepreneurship. So when it comes to the marketing side of that, something that we tell people at Launch Control is always give it 90 days. And the reason we say to give it 90 days is text engagement is, if in terms of the marketing, the core marketing that you can do for real estate investors, other than maybe just driving for dollars and knocking on doors, is the lowest price point for marketing, right? So, lower than direct mail, which can be $7,000-$8,000 per campaign, lower than PPC, which can be quite difficult to judge the overall cost depending on, unless you're really well versed in it. So it's the lowest barrier for entry is text engagement. But the reason we say to give it 90 days is because, Andrew, you've probably had a bunch of stories like this where somebody got lucky and they closed a deal in 2 weeks, right? Somebody said, sure, I need solutions for my house. What can you offer? But for the most part, from the point you even get a discovery call where you're actually talking to someone, you're probably looking at like 30 to 45 day close cycle, right? So you need to give yourself time to generate those conversations, from those conversations for profit to come from it, right?
Right.
And then you want to be able to turn back and have a pipeline that's full so that you have confidence that this can be a repeatable process, right? So you're not closing one deal and then think, oh God, where's the next deal going to come from? Because you've got marketing pipeline in place that you can take advantage of. So we always tell people to give it 90 days, because at 90 days, you'll have a repeatable system in place. So of a full pipeline of marketing leads that you can then start to convert. The other reason we say to give it 90 days, or the reason I said 6 months for starting your business, is because you need at-bats, right? The idea of being able to talk to a homeowner and get them to guide them to a solution for their home, nobody comes out of the gate really good at that. Nobody, right?
Yeah.
So, like you sent a text message, they replied, said, hey, can we get on a phone call? I want to talk you through some options. They say, sure. You fumble it. It happens, right? And so you need those at-bats to really get good at on the front end of dealing with homeowners. And then on the back end, being able to turn that around and quickly sell it to a buyer, right? Which is, as you can attest to, a very different conversation than that very empathetic conversation you're having with homeowners. So yeah, long-winded version is have a 6-month plan in place that includes marketing, and stick to that, because you will get ROI at the end of that 6 months.
Yeah, guys, I hope y'all were listening to that. That was a great recap. Very similar to kind of the way we help people start. Our motto at Deal Finders is connect, learn, and build, and it's building a business that most people, when they get in, or they come in because of outside sources, YouTube or infomercials, a book or whatever, they come into real estate. I want real estate. I want to get the houses. I want cash flow, whatever. Thinking of it as a business and building a business that is repeatable, that you can live off of and continue to do the same thing, it becomes like this one deal. I just want one deal, and then I need another deal, and that's okay. Like if you wanted to be like a side gig or something, you got your 9 to 5, and you're like, well, I'm bored, I'll go get a deal, right? That could work there. But if this is what you're trying to build wealth with or generate income, it's building a business. And yeah, you mentioned, I just had the book here, saving for taxes and being able to pay for things. And our friend David Richter has the book Profit First for real estate investors that we give to all of our students. Everybody's like, hey, you need this book. And we do. I want to go back and highlight what you said on the 90 days. We've been, from when I first started, this has been kind of the key money indicator, right? Is make sure when you go in to this and you're going to put your money behind some sort of marketing, that you have at least 90 days of supply of funds to keep that marketing out there with consistency to see if anything comes back. It is so useless to say, I'm going to do a text campaign, or I'm going to send postcards. I only got enough money to do, 1 week of it. Well, save your money, Let's find some other way to do this deal, and then come back when you could do some consistency. So I love that you hit on that. And there was one more thing I wanted to just make sure that we touched on, which is that the plan, right? You were talking about a 6-month plan. And guys, listening to this podcast and other podcasts, it's very easy to find this shiny object and get distracted and start diverting your attention. But if you're going to build a business and you're starting, from scratch, from the very beginning, it's really important to get connected with people in the space, maybe hire a coach or mentor, somebody to help you build that plan, and then stick with it. Work the plan. Don't get distracted, because you'll quickly find this is a very tough business. Entrepreneurship is very difficult. And when you run into a wall, every other opportunity looks really easy. And then you hit their wall, and then you'll find another opportunity. So sticking with that plan, I love that, Michael, that you put that out there. So you were talking about a couple of different marketing channels. You said text, you said postcards, and driving for dollars. Okay, what is it? What are you seeing out in the market space right now? You said text is probably the cheapest, but what's the conversion? How many text messages, or how long does it take someone to really get into like a potential deal when sending text messages?
Well, it's not going to take that long. So if you're sending out, just the math is really simple, right? If you send out 1,000 text messages, you're going to get a response rate of around 17 to 20%, because you'll be able to send 1 to 2 additional follow-ups if you don't get a response. So your aggregate response for that 1,000 messages sent or 1,000 recipients contacted, you're going to get probably 200 people, easy math, to respond. Okay. You're going to filter out some of those 200 that are just not valid. They also question, really, basically they might say, like, take me off your list, which you have to obviously respect that, right? Yeah. But within that 200, if you get, say, 40 people of that 200 that are actively engaging via text, and you can drive 20 of those to a phone call, to a discovery call, well, at that point, it's just a conversion process. That's those at-bats that I was referring to, right? We had, you mentioned David Richter, who recently came on Launch Control's podcast, Deal Nation.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you're going to be on as well. And we had another person we had on recently who was quite well known in the industry, Steve Trang. And Steve Trang said that you're speaking of discovery calls. Said you're never going to close 100%. You're never going to close 50. 50 would be phenomenal, but nobody, even the best of the best teams, don't close 50% of discovery calls. But you can aim for that, right? So if you're getting, say, if you're able to get even like 10 discovery calls over the course of a couple of weeks from sending out text messages, and you can get through discovery, like really have solid conversations with even a handful of those, 3 to 5. Yep. There's the average wholesaling deal nationwide, I think it's $20,000 is what you're gonna get in assignments. So if it's 3,000, 3 times $20,000, a lot of money, right? Now, are you always going to get that? Of course not, right? Like, you'll probably end up, depending on the subscription level that you're on, at Launch Control, depending on whether you use our done for you service or not. Even if you're averaging, say, 2 deals a month that are coming from text engagement, it's a $40,000 profit for your business. You have to, speaking of David's book, you're going to have to minus out your marketing expenses. You're going to have to minus out all of your overhead. Like, you're going to have to do the due diligence to figure out what your real profit was from that. But still, you can start to do the math. You can start to see where consistency comes from by being able to lean on something like text engagement as one pipeline for activating the distressed property market. Now, when you are growing a company, though, you're never going to put all of your eggs in one basket, and we know that, right? Like, we want Launch Control to be and important. The phrase that I always use is foundational to your business, right? So we want it to be something that is just, it's like having a website, having an email that people can contact, having a phone number that people can call into, a foundational element of your business that month in and month out, you're going to be using that marketing channel to have leads, inbound leads coming in, and to communicate with your buyers and realtors on the dispo side of things. Now, we know that as you grow, you're probably also going to get into postcards, and you're probably also going to get into PPC ads. And if you get really big, you might start doing regional television, right? Like there's a lot of growth that can come from it. But we want people to think of text not just as cold outbound, but as text engagement as being essential to their business. So if somebody responds via a direct mail piece, you have that motivated lead. If you can also engage with them via text and open up that secondary channel, then the communication structure with them gets much easier, right? Because when you have to rely on a phone call, when you have to rely on one method of communication, it limits your business. So having text as an integral part of just as an engagement and communication tool for your business with both sellers and buyers is really important. So use it to generate leads, of course, but also think of it in that situational sense of, if you wanted to tell somebody that you just emailed the contract, right? You don't want to call to say, hey, I just emailed the contract.
Yeah.
You don't want to just rely on email. You want to be able to shoot them a text and just email.
So why do you have an opinion, or why do you think that text engagement within that follow-up and in that communication, why do you think that's helpful in today's acquisitions realm?
Because with any deal that you're going to get from a seller, there's going to be multiple touch points, right? There are always multiple touch points. Now, when I say multiple touch points, I mean that all the way through the cycle, right? So to get all of the discovery information that you need from them, to arrange a time to come see the home if you're doing a boots on the ground kind of situation in your market, to be able to wrap things up with them, to communicate, again, like anything you need to communicate with your buyers that needs to then be passed on to the homeowner, which not much would, but in the full circle of a deal, you have a bunch of different touch points, and you want to have multiple channels of communication because you don't want to lose someone. And if you do lose them, you want to be able to get them back. You want to be able to re-engage, right? And phone is not always the best way to re-engage. Sometimes it takes something really simple, like me sending you a text and saying, hey, Andrew, can I give you a call at 6 this evening? I want to finish up what we were talking about. And you say, yeah, right? It's that quick response and that ease of use that text can provide makes it really beneficial throughout the life cycle of a deal, not just initial engagement.
Yeah. I really think in today's sellers world, and even if you're working with buyers, it's about meeting people where they are and communicating how they want to communicate, and so today, a lot of people don't want to talk on the phone. I mean, they just aren't interested in picking up the phone, especially for, a quick, hey, I just sent you this, whatever. And also, there's people that aren't even looking at their email. Maybe they come to it every month or every couple of weeks, and so if you sent them a contract and they're not going to be looking at it, then it might sit there, So I like that. Just having that other touch point to make sure that you're getting to your sellers or your buyers, whoever your clients are, meeting them where they are and having more opportunities to meet them there, right? So some of them might like the phone, some of them may not. So it also goes to, handwritten letters and saying thank you cards or that kind of thing, So meeting people where they are is so important. Now I want to go back to give everyone for listening to this podcast today. I'm going to give you guys a quick tip that we share with some of our private clients, our coaching clients, or deal partners, where when you're first getting started, and you said it a few times about having the at-bats, what that means is having the conversation, talking to sellers, getting, face-to-face, knee-to-knee, belly-to-belly in their living room about how to buy this house and what do they need and what's their situation, or doing it on the phone, whatever. And so when you first getting started, you guys, if you haven't done this and you haven't paid for marketing, just go online right now, wherever you are, whatever community, forsalebyowner.com, FSBO. There's probably a couple hundred. Their phone numbers are right there. Call these people, call these sellers. They put it out there for everyone to see it. Those are free at-bats. Y'all, that is just the best practice you'll ever have. If you need a script, you can go to our website, dealfindersclub.com/resources, I think. But you can go get the script and just have some free at-bats. Have some practice talking to people. So when you do pay for marketing, you have a better feel for how it's going to go. You're not going to waste that money. Like you said, Michael, our first call usually is not going to go well if you hadn't had any practice. So practice on the freebies, Craigslist and forsalebyowner.com. So I wanted to leave everybody with that. So you kind of talked through a couple of different marketing channels, postcards, TV, and the text messages, and making the text be kind of more of a foundational piece is what you're getting at, right? And being another, not necessarily marketing stream only, but a communication standard, right? Is that what you're...
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted kind of connecting what you just said to this, right? You said it's important to meet people where they are, right? Mm-hmm. And the way I see that in real estate investment, there's the literal sense, where are they literally, what's easiest for them to communicate. And then there's the meeting them where they are emotionally, right? Because everyone that's in a distressed situation with their home isn't family distressed, right? There's emotional context that needs to be taken into play. And if you do that, what you just suggested, and you get those calls in, and you start to realize kind of what people need, and you're able to guide them by really listening to them, then you can start to apply that in your market, right? It's a big miss that a lot of people have is not really showing that kind of understanding of motivation or that understanding of emotional context, and just sending a, hey, do you want to sell your house? Or, hey, do you want an offer on your house? Without the, why do you want to sell? Or, here's how I can help you. And without the guidance side of it. So you can really learn a lot about what you're going to need to offer to homeowners and what you're going to need to listen for, and start to seed that into your marketing, which goes into what you're saying of it being like a well-rounded communication tool, right? So it's not just getting the initial contact and then push to discovery call, which is, to be fair, about 80% of what you're going to be doing with text. But that other 20% in terms of speed of closing out deals, in terms of getting vital information from homeowners, in terms of just giving them a resource to quickly get something from you or vice versa, super, super powerful as a tool.
Yeah, I love that. I love thinking about that, of just integrating that in as just another piece of our communication, standard. This is how we work. We know how to work through this. If you prefer text, we know how to handle that. We will deal with it, versus I only know how to work through the phone. I can only close and I can only, negotiate through the phone. I can only, sign contracts when I'm in front of you or whatever. Having that flexibility to work with people where they are is so important. For a long time, that's how we were. We had to go see you to do the contracts, in our company, and then we said, some of these people don't want to see us, and we had to get our team on board with saying, okay, that's fine, just send them the contract. It was always, we had to go down there. So giving that holistic approach for your business, where you can actually conduct business through the phone, through text, through email, in person. It's a communication just standard way of doing business. So I love that. I love thinking about it that way. So cool. So we're gonna get done here. We're gonna wrap up this, but I do want to give you a chance to just give people, how can they reach out to you if they have questions about this? I know you understand the text messaging world more than most people. If people want to find you, ask questions, how can they get to you?
Yeah. So the best thing to do is just go to launchcontrol.us and set up a time to talk to our team. Our sales staff have been with us for 4 or 5 years. They have experience in acquisitions, working for real estate investment teams. They're really well versed in this. And speaking of listening, they're going to listen to where you are with your business and exactly kind of what you need in that 6-month plan to really hit your goals. And so they'll get you started off on the right foot. And then if you do sign up with Launch Control, then our customer success team is fantastic. You'll end up with a dedicated customer success rep. That success rep will be able to give you tons of advice on marketing best practices, text engagement best practices, and really kind of help you guys scale up your businesses. Sorry to use that phrase, to grow your businesses. In a way that it's the best way possible. And one of the things, the last kind of thing I'll say here, Andrew, is, you can chime in as well, but as an entrepreneur, you're not going to be great at everything. And if there are certain elements of your business that you can outsource and just let people do it for you, there's often a lot of benefit in that. So we do have a done-for-you service called Launch Leads. And if just being able to outsource text marketing and being able to just deal with it from the point of discovery call. So when a homeowner says they want to have a conversation, you or your team just takes over from that point. If that's easier, then we can arrange that as well. So, talk to us about outsourcing if that's a benefit for your organization.
I love that. And yes, entrepreneurs, we do think we know how to do everything, and sometimes entrepreneurs know how to do, and they're the only ones that do know how to do their whole business. But when they actually want to build it and grow it beyond themselves, hiring people or outsourcing is the way to do it. Hiring good people, hiring good teams to work with you. So I appreciate that. And guys, this has been a really great podcast, really diving in on how to get started in the use of text messaging. I know we've done it for years, and there's been ups and downs about it, but it's that one mode of communication that still seems to get to the results, right? Whether that person wants to be off the list or they want to talk to you, that text message gets the response, and that's why we love it. Is that they'll say no, they'll respond, nope, don't want anything, or they'll respond, yeah, talk to me later, or whatever. So postcards, you don't get that instant feedback. Phone calls, a lot of times you don't get it because they don't answer the phone. So guys, hope you enjoyed this. Again, dealfindersclub.com. You can go check out our live events. We do have a live event coming up next week, I'm sure, or maybe even this week. And we will have those posted. We do them just about every week in Columbia. So if you're anywhere in South Carolina, come down, come check us out. We'd love to see you there. And if not, just keep staying tuned to the Deal Finders podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the REI Deal Finders podcast. You can find out more and apply to be a part of the REI Deal Finder community at reidealfinders.club.